Welcome to Homeschool Horizons. I'm Yvette, your host. Well, everybody, today I have a guest that I'm going to interview, and I've been very excited about interviewing her. She's a dear friend of mine, and you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and let her introduce herself. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole.
My friend Nicole, the reason that I wanted to interview her and is because and also I just want to say that if you guys hear any other noises, although this um website that I use is really good at editing, if you guys hear anything, we're actually outside at a little cafe talking. But the reason I wanted to interview her is because she has an amazing son who is, how old is he now?
He's 8.5.
8.5, and he is your only, right? Your only son?
Yeah, he's my only child.
And I want you, like, he is what? Because I don't want to say, like, what are his challenges? Because like I said, I didn't want to say, give him a name. I wanted you to be able to do it.
Well, that's totally fine. He's autistic, and he was diagnosed also with speech and language delay, as well as a sensory processing disorder. And I also feel that he might have something that's more newly known, and that's misophonia. And so that's like an extreme, intense reaction to different typical everyday sounds.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's not as well known, but it's coming around, so it's coming to be more known.
Oh, and how long have you been homeschooling your son?
About 2.5 years.
And when you first thought of homeschooling your son, I mean, when did that first cross your mind even?
I probably first thought about that when he was about 5 years old. He had been already going to a daycare, and at the daycare, he went through the daycare from about 7 months to preschool age. So he did 2 years of preschool, and right around that time of the second year of preschool, there was kind of when I was starting to think about homeschooling. But uh, we stuck with the same school that led on. It was a private school, so it led on into TK. And so while he was there at TK, I got to see how he would do more in a typical classroom. And that's when we started to see more struggles with him trying to be independent on his own. So we had to bring in a school aide there, and there's more I could say about it. I don't know. Did you have other questions?
I mean, yeah, as you mentioned, the school aid right now, that was like going to be my next question was like, did you immediately begin homeschooling or did you try other things educationally? And it sounds like right off the bat, you didn't just go straight to homeschooling. You tried things that would work in that classroom.
Yeah. So we were the only reason why we were able to stay at the private school, because private schools don't provide special education resources, but some will work with you and say, hey, you can stay at the private school as long as you're bringing in your own aid. And some will accept, you bringing in your own aid, and others may not. But they made it a qualification that if we wanted him to attend there, we had to bring in our own aide that would be with him one-on-one, since it was apparent definitely that he needed the extra assistance. And so we brought in an aide that he had already, essentially it was his ABA aide. And so she was already doing so many hours with him. And because of the fact that he needed assistance still with toileting needs, they were able to give us, a portion of his ABA hours to be used at the school with his ABA aid. So those could only carry us so far, though. They were only giving us about 3 hours, because most if you go through an HMO like we do, many HMOs like Kaiser don't approve of having an aide there the whole time.
Wow.
For educational reasons. So the goals have to be for other reasons, for like self-care. So because he needed that help with the self-care, we could get we could still get some hours that way with the ABA aid to be there. But then it was up to us out of our pocket to have someone there for the extra remaining time while he was there. And so it went really well for about, the first 3 months of the school year. And then our aide unexpectedly quit on us
Oh,
out of nowhere. So, and
oh
didn't give
no.
us any advance warning. So we were given a week to try to find somebody else to be an aide for him. That was clearly not enough time to find somebody to trust, and take care to take care of to be there for him. So
No.
um, we had to quit the school, and that's when I officially went in and started homeschooling.
Oh, wow. You know what? And I'm like, don't know anything about, yeah, I don't have any, autistic children. I haven't traveled that route. What is ABA?
So ABA is applied behavior analysis. That's what it's called. So it's a type of therapy that is typically prescribed by doctors to kids who are on the spectrum.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
it's just kind of like it's the typical thing that they assign to a child on the spectrum. Not all. It's not for all autistic children. It's not for all families.
Oh.
Not everyone agrees with it. Others think it's great and it works well for them, and others it doesn't. Some companies who provide the therapy are better than others, and so it's a personal choice as to whether you decide to do that. But it's to work with the kids on um, well, essentially their different behaviors that can be challenging when they are trying to either learn or do any sort of life skills or tasks. So
Mm,
the therapy is there to try to help them basically, change the behaviors in a different way so that it doesn't get in the way of them living their life. But there is debate over how they do it, is whether it's appropriate for the child or not. So
wow. But you felt like it was helpful to
in the
you
beginning,
guys.
we felt it was helpful. I really just needed someone else there to talk to about everything that I was going through.
Mm.
We did the ABA therapy through the time of COVID during the pandemic when everything was closed
Oh,
down.
wow.
So,
Oh.
so I held on to it for a little while. But as he got further along in that therapy, um, it was clear to me that it really wasn't what he needed. So we needed to look into
Other
other ways.
things,
Yeah,
other ways.
yeah.
Did you guys use regional center?
So we did use regional center. Regional center is there, to help those with disabilities. And we used it for a few different things. It depends on what kind of plan they make for you, because when you get enrolled into the regional center, they have to assess like what you need and what would be helpful for you. So they make essentially like a goal plan with you, and then they tell you what they can give to you as a result. And so if he had came in earlier, like before 3, they would have had a lot more to give him in the way of
Oh.
early intervention
Mm.
that would be for free. But because he didn't get diagnosed until after 3,
Oh, wow.
we weren't able to get the same sort of resources and help from them. So we entered the regional center probably about when he was about 3.5 or 4.
Mhm.
And as a result of them making up a plan for him, we were able to get basically, a chance to enroll him in like extracurricular classes and activities. Um, there wasn't a lot that we got from the
That
regional center
that
that
you
they
could
offered. Yeah,
that you could use.
yeah. They did help us with when we were trying to put him into public school. They were there to help initiate the first process of what you go through in order to get into the public school. So they were there to help with the IEP process and that to initiate that. And from there, they also offer respite services. So like essentially, babysitting
Yeah.
care to relieve the the caregivers. So
Did you
we
use
had so
that?
many hours. We did not use a lot of it just because of the process itself to get the right kind of caregiver for your kid is kind of hard. They only
Yeah.
have certain companies that they work with, and there were long wait lists, and it was difficult to get the type of caregiver we were looking for at the time that we needed. It was hard to trust certain people
Yeah.
to stay with them and trust that they would be there for him. That was our experience. I know that's not everyone's experience, but we
Wow.
did not use that much. Yeah.
You used your did like to go and have some respite for yourself? Was it like your parents that you used?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, it was our parents and my brother. So we used them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, when
Good
they
old
were able
family.
to. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, what do you feel are some things that that have worked? I know it's like a lot. There's a lot you've tried, but if something certain things might stand out. Well, you already named one, how AB was helpful in the beginning
Mhm.
for you. Mostly for you, you said, because you felt like somebody you talked to, somebody,
Mhm.
especially during COVID, you
Mhm.
mentioned. But what were some other things that maybe that stood out to you as helpful or that have worked for your son so far, for you and your son so far?
So getting him into speech therapy was a big a big starter on being something that was very beneficial to him. And that was just through private insurance. And then you can also get speech therapy through the public school system, but we stuck with our private insurance and what they could provide. So we started with speech therapy, we started with occupational therapy, and so that's what we started with first, and that's what we were using while he was still in the daycare. And while he was in the daycare, we were able to find another speech therapist that was a private one that was outside of our insurance that we used, so that she could come to his preschool to help him
Oh,
and help him learn how to socialize more with others.
oh,
But through again, that was out of our own pocket. That was not with our private insurance because private insurance won't private insurance through your own personal insurance is not going to allow a speech therapist to go into the classroom
yeah.
unless you have a different type of insurance, which I believe some PPOs allow for that.
Oh, yeah, the
But
PPO.
we did not have a PPO, so we had a HMO. So we went, you know, basis on the daycare that we were at, they recommended somebody that they knew who had been coming to their daycare before to help kids, and so we went through her. And that was a start of having someone there for him. And through her being there, she realized, along with her, I guess you would say her superior,
Yeah.
um, realized that James in a different was learning language in a different way. And so he was a different type of language processor. And so there's analytical language processors and there's Gestalt language processors. And he was diagnosed as a Gestalt language processor by them.
What is
And
it? What is it? The word
a Gestalt.
Gestalt?
Hmm.
Oh, I never heard of that.
So
Gestalt. Okay.
so Gestalt means the whole. And there's a lot more out there about that today than there ever was before. But that finding them was a huge helpful thing to us in so many ways because they were able to help us give us tips and strategies to start helping him um, speak more on his own and not just rattle off what he memorized, but to speak his own spontaneous language. And we were given tips on like how we could figure out what he was really trying to say when he was repeating things and echoing things and scripting things from shows. So there's a lot to go in about that, but I won't go into every single detail.
Wow.
But that was a start with doing the therapies first, and then from there, like I said, we went to the private school, and then from the private school, with that not working out, then we went into homeschooling at home, and I started with a private, not a private, but I should say a public charter.
A
Is
public
what
charter.
is what I started with first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, you were with the charter and then you stopped being with the charter, and then
Mm-hmm.
now you're back with the charter, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah.
Your decision making there.
Yeah. So when we entered the public charter in the beginning for the first half year, I did homeschooling because remember as I was telling you, we were kicked out of the school because we couldn't find another aide to replace
Yes,
who
because
we
you couldn't
had.
find.
So we we lost our aide when it was time to come back from winter break. So I had to start homeschooling in the middle of January, essentially. So that was my first time starting. And so we had picked a charter that we were able to get into very easily in the middle of the year because
Oh,
there's
right.
many charters that don't allow you to enter
Yes.
in the middle of the school year. So we weren't given a lot of choices, and I didn't want to push pause on having him learn. And I had no idea yet how I wanted to homeschool. And I just knew in the back of my mind that it was possibly going to be the right thing for him since he had been struggling some already in the classroom with his sensory struggles. But so yeah, we went with whatever we could get. So it was basically like being online for classes during the pandemic. So
Oh,
you
yeah,
had to
yeah.
sign on, you had to be there for, however much time, 30 minutes to 40 minutes sometimes on a class session with a teacher on the computer. So
Oh,
that was not great for
that's
my son at
yeah,
all. And
yeah.
it's not what I ultimately envisioned for homeschooling for him. It did not allow for any flexibility at all. We were stuck in the house having to be there for the different class meetings. So we fudged through it, struggled with it for the first half year. And then my following year, I got into a PSP, which I believe they call like a private satellite program, which is basically it's like a private school again, but
Yes.
but you're doing the homeschooling at home, and then that private school is there to help give
Submit
you
great or
submit your
submit certain
grades,
things. Yeah.
keep track of your records for you.
Yes.
Some of them will have like special days where either they will like have people at their location and do like extracurricular classes, which is what the one we did for us. And they also organized field trips once a month. So that was a good speed for us because it allowed for me to have a lot more flexibility with him and what I wanted to teach and like what at the pace I wanted to teach it. And he didn't have to be glued to a screen, but we could use the computer if we needed to for certain things, which did work really well for him on some things, but it didn't work very well for him on other things. And so it was, yeah. And we did that for,
Where can we get a cone?
we've done that for about 2 years now. So now we're back again for our third year. And we went back to a charter. So I went back to a public charter because with the PSP, that's the private school that we went through to do our homeschooling, it was helpful in a lot of ways, which is having all that flexibility, but it was difficult in the sense of we didn't have any extra other resources to help help us
monetarily, you mean, or you mean just even just other vendors, other classes, other things that are available.
There were no other extra classes available to us. There was no extra funds available to us. And because situations were changing financially in our home, that made it difficult. So with a public charter, you are still offered a free and appropriate education and an IEP because they are still chained to the public process. So they are expected to give that to kids with special needs. So we thought we would try that again because we would have the extra support and some extra resources, some extra funds. And
how's it going so far? How do you feel so far?
So it feels pretty good. Like we've just really started for about 3 weeks. So we've only had 3 weeks so far because we were enrolled last minute by them. So it's a little bit more than what we're used to. It's I guess a slightly more heavier load in the way of how much work we're doing and subject wise, because I had more flexibility with that to go his speed with the other place.
Yeah.
Um, but it's going okay so far. It's going okay so far.
Yeah.
And I actually will have the meeting about his IEP next week. And so I'll get to find out more about what kind of resources he's going to be able to get. I am a little bit nervous on fitting in all those different resources that they have mentioned already that they would like to give. But I think that it's time for a change for him to is where I'm getting at is that I think he needs a chance to be working with some other people besides me. So now that he's getting a little bit older, I don't think that I should necessarily be the be all end all person that he's dealing with to learn.
Yeah.
And so I think this provides an opportunity that way and still provides him and I some support in doing so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that. So I feel like something I wanted to ask you was about what are some of the challenges that you've experienced? I feel like you've already talked about some of the challenges that you've experienced homeschooling. M- More in like, I think in the outside things outside things. What have been some of your personal challenges, like with homeschooling yourself? Because even right now, I just heard you say you do feel like you want him to have, um, you feel this is the right time for him to have other teachers, not just you. Is that from you having had some challenges that just being you, or can you explain that?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I run into blocks where on how to teach him a specific concept. There's certain concepts that he just hasn't understood, and while I have been a teacher myself, it's still a struggle to try to figure out what else could I be doing to help him. And sometimes when it's you, the mom, I think like
Yep.
maybe it's hard. It's harder to I find it hard to find the balance of how much do I really push him and when do I need to just back off and give him a break. Um, his therapist, his speech therapist, and his occupational therapist have also thought that he could have something of what they call a PDA profile, which again isn't really widely recognized here in the US, but it's recognized in other countries more so. But it's a side of him where he has trouble accepting demands. And so he wants more autonomy. And so it's can be difficult that even like the slightest question can feel like a huge demand to him. And so sometimes I think because that's always coming from me, that makes it harder for us to get through lessons and learn things because he feels like he's always being demands are always
Demands are being made from mama.
yeah, and they're being made from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
so that's what's made it hard. That is the pushback. And I mean when he was in private school, at the same place we did the daycare, there was just so much struggles with like the environment itself. So the sensory, the sounds that were very difficult for him to block out, to focus. And so and they're very typical sounds like, a kid sneezing or someone coughing or a kid crying. And there's sounds at our home too that, set him off as well. So those kind of things can be a struggle, I think, to handle when homeschooling him. But mainly because I feel like because everything's coming from me, I feel like he needs a little bit of that change because, as we all know, our kids can act differently with others. So
Yes.
I feel like maybe it might be beneficial to him if he could be learning from others as well as me, but others too.
That's so funny you say that because my children, as you know, are not autistic, but I feel the same way about, like, for
Yes, I
example,
remember you sharing
my oldest
that.
right now, my 13-year-old, he just can't learn from me right now. He just can't. Yeah. So it's working really well to have other teachers for him.
That's great.
Really well.
That's great.
Yes. Um, I feel, I just want to thank you. You've shared a lot, and I know there's a lot more that you could share. And I've even told you that I feel like you could have your own podcast about this, right? But I I guess I want to end our time together today with what is it that you would tell others that are like at the very beginning of their journey, like a mom that might be listening right now that her child is 2 years old,
Yeah.
you know? I don't even, I can't, I mean, already when you have a 2-year old and you're a first time mom, you're already overwhelmed as it is.
Mhm.
And I mean, I can't imagine what you're feeling when you have a child, not just as autistic, but a child of very, there are other challenges that come,
Yes. Yeah. Any disabilities.
any
Yeah.
disability, right?
Mhm.
What is it that you would want her to know?
That's a big question.
Yeah, yeah.
So
What wisdom
I
would you like to impart? I mean, you've been,
I
you're,
think, even when they're two, I know it's hard to know like what you think, what it is that you want to do at that point, because even when they're two, you don't even always know exactly what their official diagnosis is going to be, but
true.
there's those of us that have the inkling that we know already for sure. I guess I don't know, like what I guess what I would say is that you got to think about what matters most to you for your child. Um, and what do you want most for them?
Hmm.
So I guess that's what you start with that's what I started with is what do I want most for him? And what what will help give them that for the time being and you a peace of mind. So again, I guess yeah, think about what matters most to you. What do you want most for them? And then what is it that could help give you that peace of mind for both of you? Um,
Hmm.
is what I would recommend.
I love
And
that.
and then don't doubt yourself. And this was a hard one for me. Just so full of doubt. And there's so many decisions out there to make, and there's so many choices out there to make. But in the end, you can't doubt yourself and don't let others' opinions sway you because and don't make them make you feel like your choice was inadequate or the wrong one, because I think there's no right or wrong choice when it comes to doing what you feel is best at the time, and you can always make changes in what you feel is the best at the time. um, and you won't know if homeschooling is the right choice to begin with. You just won't, and you won't know until you try it. So that was what I had to tell myself. That's what I had others tell me. And so don't be afraid to try. There's just so much flexibility in it, which is overwhelming at first because there is so much flexibility. But it's but that's actually that's the beauty of it. That's the real beauty of homeschooling is what I've noticed is the flexibility, and you get this opportunity to teach what you feel is best for your child, and you don't have to do it by anyone's standards. But
Yeah.
at the same time, you've got to remain to be you yourself. Need to remember that it's okay to be flexible. And in my homeschooling journey, I've learned that change is going to be constant. That's an inevitable thing. And so, yeah, when it comes to teaching your child, changing things up is always going to be something that's there. And last of all, just don't be afraid to seek out others. Try to look for your people. Um, Homeschooling a child with special needs can feel extremely lonely at times because even the stuff that is out there for homeschoolers isn't always organized in a way that's going to be helpful to your child with special needs. Unfortunately. Um, but there's a lot of people out there more so like on Facebook and social media that are trying to organize these types of groups. And even if you do find play groups on Facebook, which is what I started with too, even if you don't know if they're for kids with special needs or not, don't be afraid to try them out because you still might find some of the most supportive people that you You just don't know. And even if you're on Facebook pages yourself, don't be afraid to put out there what it is that you're looking for, because you just might get a response of someone else looking for the same thing.
I mean, that's how we met, right?
Yeah.
We met through a little like outdoor play group. It wasn't for children with disabilities. It was just for all children.
Yeah.
And
then it turned out with some people in our group did have children with
some special needs.
Some special needs.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. You just never know. You never know if you don't put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my biggest thing is just try not to feel that you're all alone in this. There's definitely others out there, that are looking for the support. And I will just drop it out there too, that a great resource for parents of kids with disabilities or neurodivergent disabilities is called Mothers Together. And there is a woman by the name of Megan, and she is on Instagram. Her handle is On the Hard Days, and she runs this support group called Mothers Together, which is facilitated through the Marco Polo app.
Oh,
so you basically can connect with women from all over, and they take out the hard work of you trying to find these people on your own. So it's people that are coming with the purpose of looking for support and wanting to talk with other moms who are going through the same things. And then they try to match you up in a group of women who are going through similar things so that you can chat with each other. Granted, most of it's virtual, but it could lead to in-person meetings or not.
Yeah. Yes, that's so true. Oh my gosh. Well, I want to thank you so much, Nicole, for agreeing to do this interview.
You're welcome.
And for the circumstances we find ourselves in outside with moving vehicles and people talking, pedestrians walking by us. But thank you so much. And I want you to know, as I've told you before, how much I admire you. And, I know it's like, because people tell me too how much they admire me. And when people say that to me, I'm like, whatever, But I do. And I love you very much. And thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome.
All right, everybody. Well, I will be talking to you soon. I hope you guys all have a wonderful week in spite of a lot of heavy stuff that's happening out there. And I just want to say God bless all of you. And we will talk very soon.